Hi, welcome to an overview of the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program. I'm here with my colleague, Gail Kennedy. We both work for University of New Hampshire Cooperative Extension and have been delivering the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program for the past 6 years. We're here to share a little bit about the program that will also meet the requirements for school districts needing to provide suicide prevention training for all of their employees. Gail?
Hi, I'm Gail Kennedy, and I work in the Sullivan County office for UNH Cooperative Extension, and both Rick and I serve on the Youth and Family Resiliency team.
Great. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information, kind of a basic overview of the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program. And Youth Mental Health First Aid is the help that is offered to a young person who may be experiencing a mental health challenge or some kind of other mental health crisis. And the first aid is what's given, just like in regular first aid, that's given until appropriate help is received or until a crisis is resolved. Youth Mental Health First Aid also teaches adults to identify, to understand, and to help youth who may be experiencing a mental health or substance use challenge. And when we're talking about youth, this program is targeted towards adolescents, so basically young people ages 12 to 18 years old. And this is a program for adults and for adults who work with or care about young people, which includes teachers and school staffs and other youth group leaders, as well as parents and concerned community members. A little bit about the history. The Youth Mental Health First Aid Program originated in Australia and began in the United States in 2011. It's managed by the National Council for Behavioral Health, and we participate in the program in a partnership with the Department of Education in New Hampshire and their Project Aware program. Just another thing to add that's very important is that, this is a program that helps adults to be a little more comfortable about engaging young people and providing them a variety of supports that may be needed when a child might be experiencing some kind of mental health challenge. But the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program does not teach people to diagnose or to provide direct treatment.
Slide, please, Rick. Yeah, so the goals of the program overall is to increase mental health literacy and to decrease stigma that's associated with mental illness and substance use. And as Rick mentioned, the course is going to equip participants to become first aiders and to be able to have that skill and the confidence to reach out to youth that might be experiencing a mental health challenge or a substance misuse disorder challenge, and to be able to get that youth to the appropriate help or to be a resource to the youth themselves. How will they be a resource to themselves is by using the centerpiece of the program, which is called the Algae Action Plan. And the action plan has 5 steps, and the first is to assess for risk of suicide or harm. Very importantly, number 2, to listen non-judgmentally, to give reassurance and information, to encourage appropriate professional help, and then to encourage self-help and other support strategies. Next slide, please, Rick. So the program has recently been updated, and one of the big updates is that it's now available in 3 different formats. And the first format is a face-to-face, in-person, 6.5-hour course that can be done in 1 or 2 sessions over the course of a couple of days. The second delivery option is to have a blended version where there's a 2-hour self-paced online portion of the program, followed by a 4-hour in-person version that's led by the instructor. And then the last option is a 6-hour virtual, which would be 2 hours of self-paced and then 4 hours of instructor-led via video conference. So those updates have not been released yet, but we're anticipating that they will soon. and the current cadre of instructors around the state will be trained in the programming, and it's hard to determine when those options will be available. Right now, we can just offer a face-to-face version of the program, but we're not able to do that since we're quarantining at home. So we also have, with the program updates came some new films, and the films are modeling that action plan and applying it to the stories of teens and teens with their lived experience with mental health challenges or substance misuse disorders. The manual has also been updated. It's now relevant to the DSM-5, and it's written in plain language so that it's easier for participants to access and understand. And also, there's some content in there for adults that are working with younger children. But the course, like Rick had said, is for people that are working with 12 to 18-year-old youth. And then the content has been updated to reflect the impact of culture and various other topics such as trauma and adverse childhood experiences, school violence, bullying, and social media. And then there's a film that relates to risk and protective factors and information about those, as well as some information about self-care for the first aiders. So here's a copy, or here's a slide on what the agenda for the course looks like. And the first half of the course, and this is, we're calling it session 1, covers what youth mental health first aid is and what it isn't. So we'll talk about the need for youth mental health first aid, what exactly the role of a first aider might be, and what the role, where the boundaries of the role are as well. Covering also in that session mental health issues and substance misuse problems in youth, and then also looking at what's typical adolescent development. And then in the second part of the day, we'll look at applying the action plan that I just described and getting into small groups and using that action plan, applying it to a case scenario of a youth that might be developing a mental health challenge or crisis or a substance misuse disorder. So the participants have a lot of time to practice and hopefully better retain some of that information. The course has also been updated, paying real close attention to adult learning principles and really paying attention to having people walk out of the class feeling like they can actually use it and are set to apply it to their situations. And the last part of the course is covering the self-care for the first aider. Next slide.
Great. Thank you, Gail. So just a little bit more information here to wrap up. Wanted to share that there have been a lot of studies on the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program, basically in terms of its impact on the adult participants in the program. And studies have demonstrated over a number of years that there is improved mental health literacy and understanding amongst the first aiders who take the program, as well as improved attitudes and self-confidence of first aiders in terms of their ability to reach out and engage young people who may be experiencing a mental health challenge or substance use crisis or challenge. Also, just in terms of continuing to gather data, participants in the program are asked to complete an evaluation survey at the completion of the program, and they do that by going online and completing a survey that takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And at the same time, they can also download their certificate of completion for the program, which is good, they say, for 3 years. It's recommended that, that first aiders would complete this program again 3 years down the road. A little bit more information just about costs. There is a participant manual, and there's a cost of $29 for that. And if someone wanted to get trained just on their own to become an instructor with the National Council for Behavioral Health, there's a $3,200 charge. The New Hampshire Department of Education has hosted a few trainings over the years that have been offered at no cost for trainers. And they've also been able to cover the cost of books. Moving forward, it's unclear exactly if there'll be any need for funds from different sources. However, it is clear that we are all committed to providing the program at no direct cost to any of the adults that are actually participating in the program, whether that's school faculty or community members. Last year, just in terms of being able to get more information about bringing youth mental health first aid to New Hampshire schools, Ellen Desmond, the Special Projects Coordinator with the Department of Education's Office of Social and Emotional Wellness, her email, phone, and there's also a web page that you can actually complete a request to have youth mental health first aid brought to your school. So I think that's pretty much it. And Gail and I look forward to maybe seeing you at a training in the not too distant future. And thank you for watching this video about youth mental health first aid.